Don't try. These are the words engraved on the gravestone of Charles Bukowski, one of the most raw, unfiltered voices in 20th century literature. At first glance, this phrase might seem pessimistic, even defeatist. But as we dive into the life and philosophy of Bukowski, we'll discover that these words hold a much deeper meaning, one tied to authenticity, self-expression, and the relentless pursuit of one's truth. Bukowski's story begins in Germany, where he was born in 1920. 3 years later, his family immigrated to the United States, settling in Los Angeles. Life was anything but easy for the young Bukowski. His father was abusive, often beating him without cause. This instilled in him a deep understanding of pain without reason, as he described it later in life. It wasn't just physical abuse that shaped him. Bukowski also faced ridicule for his German accent, shabby clothes, and later, severe acne that left his face scarred. The isolation he experienced as a child forged a perspective that would later fuel his writing. In his early 20s, Bukowski enrolled in college, only to drop out after 2 years. His real education came from the streets and bars of Los Angeles, where he worked a series of menial jobs, everything from dishwashing to post office clerking. During this time, he began writing short stories, hundreds of them, but success was elusive. Publishers either ignored his submissions or outright rejected them. Out of frustration and disillusionment, Bukowski abandoned writing for nearly a decade. At 35, Bukowski faced a near-death experience when he suffered a bleeding ulcer. This brush with mortality reignited his desire to write. He returned to the page with a vengeance, scribbling poems and short stories during breaks from his post office job. His style was raw, gritty, and unapologetically honest, qualities that began to attract attention. Despite his initial lack of commercial success, Bukowski kept writing. He never conformed to the literary establishment's expectations or softened his voice for the sake of approval. He wrote about the human condition, the pain, the absurdity, and the fleeting moments of joy, with a candor that resonated deeply with his growing audience. His poems and stories reflected the lives of ordinary people, the downtrodden, the drunks, the dreamers. In the 1960s, Bukowski's work began gaining traction in underground literary circles. But it wasn't until his 50s that he finally achieved widespread recognition. A pivotal moment came when publisher John Martin offered him a monthly stipend to quit his job at the post office and write full-time. Bukowski's response? "I have one of two choices. Stay in the post office and go crazy, or stay out here and play at writer and starve. I have decided to starve." Freed from the constraints of a 9-to-5 job, Bukowski produced some of his most iconic works, including Post Office, a semi-autobiographical novel about his years as a postal worker, and Women, a brutally honest exploration of his relationships. Bukowski's voice was unique, vulgar yet poetic, cynical yet deeply human. His writing wasn't polished, and that was the point. He once said, "An intellectual says a simple thing in a hard way. An artist says a hard thing in a simple way." Bukowski's art lay in his ability to distill life's complexities into words that hit you in the gut. But what about that enigmatic phrase, "Don't try"? What did Bukowski mean by it? At first glance, it might seem to contradict his life story, a man who wrote relentlessly despite rejection and hardship. But Bukowski wasn't saying to give up, he was advocating for authenticity. In a letter to a friend, he wrote, "Too many writers write for the wrong reasons. They want to get famous, or they want to get rich, or they want to get laid. When everything works best, it's not because you chose writing, but because writing chose you." Bukowski believed that true passion is something that comes naturally. It's not something you force or overthink. It's like knowing your favorite color. You don't choose it. It chooses you. The phrase, "don't try," isn't about avoiding effort, but about avoiding pretense. If you have to try to care about something, perhaps it's not meant for you. But if you can't imagine life without it, if the act of doing it feels like a necessity rather than a choice, then you should go all the way. For Bukowski, writing wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about survival. He wrote because he had to, because the alternative was unthinkable. This unfiltered honesty is what made his work so powerful. He didn't write to impress, he wrote to express. Bukowski's philosophy resonates far beyond the world of literature. Whether you're a writer, a painter, a musician, or simply someone searching for meaning, his message is clear. Don't force yourself to be something you're not. Find what feels true to you and pursue it with everything you've got. As he famously wrote, "If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start." Charles Bukowski's life was a testament to the power of perseverance, authenticity, and the unrelenting pursuit of one's truth. His words continue to inspire generations of readers and creators, reminding us that success isn't about trying to fit into someone else's mold. It's about staying true to who you are and letting your passion speak for itself. Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission.